Vlogtober day 17. I'm about to head to the recycling depot for a really exciting errand. The glass and plastic bags and other returnables that we get money back on have to go, otherwise they start to take over the kitchen. And I also have to pick up a COVID test for my husband. We don't think he's got COVID, but he has a very red patch in the back of his throat. And he has an appointment at the doctor on Thursday, and they won't see him unless he has a negative COVID test. So I'm going to pick up a test for him. I did have one in the kitchen drawer, but it was way out of date. And after I get back home, I have more excitement. It's going to be cleaning bathrooms and vacuuming the house. There's nothing like having friends over to inspire you to clean. So I'll talk to you again later on. I think I overdressed for the weather. Last night I was sitting on my couch listening to the wind blowing around the house. It was crazy, so I'm expecting to see a lot of leaves down today. And I thought it was going to be pretty chilly this morning, so I wore my turtleneck and my first Sporto sweater, which is really cozy. I made this for like 20 bucks because the yarn was so cheap on clearance. And I am too warm already. Anyhow, I'm at the recycling depot and now I need to get rid of all that stuff. I thought I'd better give this aloe vera a drink. I usually miss it out when I'm watering my plants because it fills the pot so much that if I water it where it lives, it's going to overflow. And I'm just glad it's alive really, because I did have one before that got so big that I tried splitting it into separate pots and I killed it. So this is one of the bits that did survive, and now it's got huge again. So at some point I'm going to have to repot it. If you guys have got any tips for looking after aloe vera plants and not killing them, I'd be glad to hear them. I gave it a good soaking and I'm going to let it sit in the sink for a while. I think with the type of plant this is and the place where they normally grow, that keeping it dry and then soaking it is similar to the conditions they would normally experience. Cross fingers, I'm right. Leftover lasagna soup for lunch. Sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? But it was in a recipe book and I thought I'd try it. It's actually really good. And a lot less calorific because there's no cheese. It's boiling today. According to the weather station on the table over there, it's 15 outside in the shade, but I reckon it's 20 in the sunshine. I've got 4 windows open across the back of the house here. It's the south side. And we haven't aired the house in the last week or two, so I figured it was time. The housework is just about done. Bathrooms are done, plants are watered. Christmas cacti are starting to bud, so I'm looking forward to that because they always put on a good show. And I just need to finish decrumbing the dining room table and throw the placemats in the wash. So the big question is, will I then go for a walk or will I go downstairs and sew? I have had some exercise, what with the vacuuming. It does seem a bit of a waste of a nice day when you're indoors. I have friends coming over tonight, so I won't be walking tonight, so that kind of swings it one way. But on the other hand, if my friends are here tonight, I won't be able to sew either. So maybe I'm going to sew. Make another little bag of some kind. Because Halloween is coming closer and I want to have, probably like to have about 10 little bags made by then. So I think that's the plan then. I have found what has to be The quickest, easiest little pouch ever. Obviously, I'm going to link down below in the description box, but thought I'd just show you the process. So there's 2 print rectangles, which are slightly larger than the 2 plain rectangles. Now, in the YouTube video, she uses what looks like a slightly heavier fabric. I'm just using quilting cottons. There's no interfacing, there's no zippers, no hardware except for snaps. And I have my little trusty box of cam snaps, which are just a generic brand. They're probably not cam at all. So all you do, she uses a round thing to create the curve on the corners. I am fast and furious here, and I just fold it in quarters and cut a curve, which hopefully works. It looks good however you do it, really. The sewing smooths all the rough edges out, right? So once you have your sort of oval rectangle curved corner thing, all you do is you stack your fabric. So you've got your small solid rectangle untrimmed, and then you fold these guys in half, and I'll just iron them. She doesn't iron them in the video, but I like to because it keeps them in place. Now what I found is that because I've been using a couple of one-way fabrics so far, I figured out the way to place them so that they're not the wrong way round when you put it all together. So my bats are the right way up here, but if I put it this way round, they'll be upside down. And the same with this piece. So it's kind of hard to tell with these bats sometimes. But this is the right way up. So what I have to do is make sure that the right way up is facing me for the first piece, and the right way up is facing away from me for the second piece. In other words, they're facing each other the correct way up. It doesn't matter if this is upside down and this is upside down, because no one will see those. And then you put this guy on top. And I clip in at least 4 places because it has a tendency to shift. It did occur to me to change to my walking foot, but I didn't. And then you're just going to sew around, leaving a gap at this top part here to flip it through afterwards. Seeing the black against the black is tricky. So you have to leave a really small gap here because otherwise you're hitting the curve, and it does make it a bit of a squeeze to turn it out. It also makes for a not particularly smooth result when you've top stitched it. And I'm being really careful not to cut my stitching because black stitching on black fabric is practically invisible. This is pretty bulky down here, so I'm going to go all the way around the bottom edge. So basically one seam. This bag has one seam and a tiny bit of top stitching. Insanely easy. When you poke it out, you've got 2 layers here. One goes on the other side of the black. You end up with a pocket on each side. So it really needs to be ironed well after this because it's a little lumpy. See, this top curve isn't great. And I lengthen my stitch for the top stitching. Yeah, not very smooth just there. So this can go either way, this flap. So if you have a nicer looking side that you want to show more than the other side, you can have it be on that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron it down one way and then put the snap on. With this one, yeah, it really, really doesn't matter. Now all I have to do is put the snap on it. It does look wonky, that one. All I've been doing is finding the middle by folding it in half. I messed one up before. I'm always doing my best to try and make sure that the snap goes in carefully so that I'm not squishing the snap and breaking it. Well, I broke one, didn't I? Now, I put orange on a couple of them and I put yellow on another. But I don't know about this one. I need 2 caps. 1 female part, 1 male part. I don't know if there's a particular rule about which way around you're supposed to put them, but I usually put the male part onto this flap part here, and then I would put this part on here. But I don't think there's going to be a snap police to tell you which way to do it. Sometimes you wonder how strong these are. Believe me, I've had to dig a couple out that I did wrong, and they are really difficult to get out. Once they're in, so there we are. What you get is you get a little snap pouch with a pocket on the front with the flap over it, and then it has a pocket, very messy pocket on the back as well. Yeah, you could make that quite a lot more sturdy with interfacing or a thicker fabric, at least in the center where my black fabric is. But that's kind of cute. And the other ones I made were these. I made one out of the skull fabric with a yellow snap. And I made one out of the cat and pumpkin fabric. What's cool about this fabric, and I just discovered that last night after I had switched off my sewing room light, and I left the room and then came back for something. The fabric is glow in the dark. The little pumpkins glow in the dark. The cat, I'm not sure about the cat eyes, but definitely the pumpkins do. And then the last one was this one. Actually, this was the first one. And that print worked out beautifully right there. So rather than cover it up with the flap, I put the flap on that side. That's the nice thing about it. You don't have to decide until the last minute which way you're going to have the flap on it. I like that one positioned like that, and that one positioned like that, and that one like that. So that was 4. And now these are literally 10-minute pouches. Unlike that one I made yesterday, where she says 10-minute bag, and it was an hour. So these are literally 10 minutes. Fantastic. So that's 4 made this afternoon. Isn't it great when you've made a zipper pouch for no other reason than that you wanted to experiment with a vinyl window in a bag, and then you get the set snaps and it fits perfectly in there? I love it when that happens. Pure luck. It's the end of the day. My friends have been here tonight and I got a little bit more done on my crochet bag. I can fit 2 boxes of tissues in there now. I am awash with Yorkshire tea, so if I don't sleep tonight, I can only blame myself. And I'm watching sewing videos as a way to decompress. And I'll be going to bed pretty soon. So thanks for watching today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.